Everyone read.
Yes. Confirmed.
Listen, and confirms.
Listened, yeah, that counts as reading, in my opinion.
Easy.
I've read a lot of books that way, so it better count.
I just got through all the Hunger Games series. I really liked it.
I read a lot of books the old-fashioned way, with my eyeballs and my elbows, but...
Who's going to judge you? You're not going to walk up to somebody and say, how many did you listen to?
How many hours have you listened to a book for?
Yeah, I think you wasted your time. Those don't count.
Too many hours.
Yeah.
Go back and read them.
600 hours in last year.
It only counts if your eyeballs are bouncing around the little words. That's it.
Only counts if you post it to Goodreads, man.
Does it only count if you have to keep going back and starting the sentence over again because your eyes skip lines and shit?
Fuck,
I don't know if y'all read that way.
Like I looked at the book. I didn't retain any of it though.
I think someone's got a real good case of the ADHD. Because I can just like read the line, and it's like I got it.
Well, I can read the line,
yeah,
but then the next line,
my brain doesn't retain any of it.
It's the comprehension part of it that matters.
The next line doesn't always come sequentially. Sometimes it restarts the line.
I was reading, someone made one of those paragraphs where they bolded like the first part of the word.
Oh yeah.
They had like
it's
called like bionic reading, I think.
Yes.
It definitely helps if you're one of those people who's like a sight reader. Like people with ADHD especially have a special fucking like brain pattern bullshit that makes it to where like they just read shit faster because it's like the shape of the word and not the physical sounds in their head while they're sounding out the letters, you know? It's weird.
Yeah. For me to retain anything, I have to keep my hands busy because then when I'm doing that thing again, I can actually pull up it's really weird, my way that my memory works for things. It's how I used to study for school, was I'd listen to stuff while I was working, and then like I could photographically bring up what I was doing in my hands while listening to that bit, or while I was doing that particular item, bring up whatever audio I was listening to at the time. It was brain hacks.
Brainiacs. The last reading was kind of a lot. It was a big chunk, so we did kind of squeeze on through there. We kind of smashed our way through it. A lot's happened, and we're currently at a spot where a lot of things are kind of coming together.
Convergence.
Yeah, it's kind of a all of the webs are becoming, you know, more and more entangled. You're seeing more and more things that are being pulled together. Right now, we just finished a spot where Eddie proposes they go to the Doorway Cave and send him back to New York because he wants to make sure that he protects the Rose, right?
Yes.
He has a very like almost intuitive kind of insight, and he decides like we've been really fucking stupid about this whole vacant lot thing. He wants to go back, and I think it's kind of fun the way that when he goes back to like deal with what's going on, he ends up once again fighting the same bunch of Balazar's men that he fought the first time.
I like the names that he called them, and then they're
just like much younger though, right? Like it's almost like a weird ass time travel paradox to where like he's already killed a lot of these men, but he's, you know, being
like 14, I think, like that. I don't remember if he said an exact age of what technically he is.
Yeah, he would have been very young at this point.
Yeah.
As he's trying to explain to the guys like what's been going on, gotta figure out where we started. We started chapter 2, the Dogen part 1, right? That was the beginning of our reading.
Yes, sir. Dogen part 1.
Yeah. It starts off with them fetching something. In their bowling ball bag. trying to remember because there was something fun that he brought up. I believe he was talking about how the bowling ball bag must be Todash too, like it's Todash like with them.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie said it's spooky. I thought that was pretty neat. They grabbed the
Considering
ball.
the amount of time based on that too.
Yes. Like where it came from, who like whose is it? You know, like there's a lot there that's like, you know, it was never really explained either. Just, you know, here's a perfectly suited bag for the next part of your adventure.
Yeah, he kind of stopped on it when he went by it and went back for it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
This might be important.
Huh.
No clue why.
That looks
It's
like
like,
fun.
oh look.
So
Finally.
they end up taking the ball up to the doorway cave, and they shoot Eddie through time, pretty much. Of course, Eddie comes out right on 2nd Avenue, and much like the other times where he went through doors, it's behind him. Remember how we could always have them turn around?
Yeah, see,
And
there
it
was
always
sort of,
follows you.
almost like walking on an elliptical, even though that everything else is moving around you. You're kind of staying.
Yeah, it's almost like it's
you
tethered
can
to you.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Pretty neat phenomenon, and I can imagine it being pretty distracting.
It's like if you're playing a third-person shooter, but the person at the door was like the person with the controller. I don't know.
It's like a second, third person.
Yeah. That's how I imagine Roland just there.
Yeah, he put his fucking put his bullets in his ears and started playing Eddie.
Running into the corner.
When Eddie arrives to the store, guess who's there? Guess who? Balazar. Let's see, what does it say? A dark gray Lincoln town car was parked up there, not in front of the fire hydrant, but a couple doors down. Balazar's town car. There's kind of a lot of back and forth here, but Eddie pretty much shows up to the bookstore and it's closed, and he has to kind of, I believe he has to like jimmy his way in, doesn't he?
To make it look like he was only testing the door.
Yeah, but he was really pushing hard.
Trying to break, but break it without it making it look suspicious.
Yeah, well, Eddie comes across kind of a mess up front. It's obvious that there was some kind of struggle, and then he hears voices coming from the back. There are some of Balazar's gentlemen there. George Biondi, Jack Andolini. We've met these guys
Fucking Jack Andolini.
Old double ugly.
I like this part because you can really tell that he stepped into the role of gunslinger because the way that he talks and the way that he observes things, that it looks like nothing to anyone else, but he's really focused on like just little things like the glasses on the floor and the other things he just even suggested they were in the back. That's where kind of like you would have noticed it before if you hadn't been a gunslinger at that point.
He definitely does take charge. He has a lot of those same characteristics that he's been learning. He does at no point here like lose control of the situation. He's very much laying down the law, and he ends up not having to shoot anybody. They are trying to burn the place down, and they are threatening Calvin Tower with burning and stealing all of his valuable books. What they want to do is, let's see, it says, if you give me a verbal commitment to sell that lot to the Sombra Corporation at high noon on July 15th. If you give me that commitment, this meeting will come to an end. If you don't, I'm going to burn a second book, and then a third, and then a fourth, and then after 4, I believe my associate here is apt to lose patience. So he's threatening him to just say out loud, not like a verbal commitment, that I will sell you this lot. Not even sign a contract. He just wants him to say that I have intentions to do so.
Yep.
At this point, obviously, it's time for Eddie to break in.
He almost reminds me of what Roland sounds like in this part, because the way that he talks sometimes, and like the way that his phrasings, he uses a lot of things from the area that they're in now.
Well, when he pulls his gun, he doesn't think it's real.
Yeah.
Had to be a prop.
It's
Mhm.
it's got it's got to be a huge fucking gun.
Yeah.
I think of old Dirty Harry.
So Eddie shoots it and he says, "What do you think now, Jack? Still think it's a fake? Tell you what I think. The next time I pull this trigger, your brains are going to be all the way to Hoboken." I'm not sure exactly how far that is from where they are, but it sounds like a long ways. And
Yes, it does.
no one wants their brains anywhere besides inside of their head. So he kind of straightens up. I forget exactly what he does. He pretty much like outmaneuvers these guys and gets them out of there.
No, what he does is he threatens to erase like their entire family, their whole lineage, their mom, their dad, their grandma, their grandpa,
Children.
any sibling, any children, any siblings, any of their children. He basically promises to eradicate their whole family line, and they realize he's not joking. Like he has that look that he's not joking, and I really liked how he did that because I don't think he ever would have thought like that before, but like I said, that's kind of where some of the
Well, he gets into his face and he
Yeah,
asks him a
he does.
question. He doesn't answer him.
Yep.
So he nails him with a gun. And he says, "Answer my question with another question. I'm gonna hit you again." And then he answers his question with another question. So he hits him again. Trying to find the exact situation. They pretty much tell him that like their boss isn't going to stop asking about it, so they're going to keep having to come back. And he's saying, "Don't worry about it. You guys can't have it. Leave it alone." And then he tells him, "I'll come to Brooklyn and kill your wife and children, and I'll find your mother and father, and I'll kill them. Then I'll kill your mother's sisters and your father's brothers. Then I'll kill your grandparents if they're still alive,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'll save you for last. Do you believe me?" Very much,
fuck around and you'll find out.
yes. Like it is a absolute like wiping out, and he's threatening this guy with it, and then this tough, hard ass, wise guy, fucking gangster dude looks at you in the eyes and believes him. So this Eddie that we're seeing here is definitely a different one than the Eddie that we
When
saw
we-
when he was originally introduced with these guys as well.
Yep.
It's a different time, obviously, for both of them, but it's very cool how they come together the same way. But
Well, you can see his growth
different
for
people.
sure.
Kind of reminded me of Robert De Niro in The Untouchables a little bit.
yeah.
Talking about one, him dead, his family dead,
hmm
all that. I was like, whoa, this boy.
So once they leave, he tries to talk to Calvin Tower, which is kind of funny in and of itself. They do definitely have some discussions about this particular vacant lot. They talk about first edition books. They talk about books that have value because they're misprints. You get a kind of a jolt where Eddie realizes there's a book called The Hogan by Benjamin Slightman Jr., who's the kid that's been hanging out with Jake for like the last however long they've been in the call. He explains to him like why it's valuable. He mentions that it's called The Dogan, but it's a misprint where it says The Hogan. But then also it's written in such a way, it ends up being valuable over a typographical error. And for whatever reason, the names are ringing a bell, and it's kind of it's almost distracting.
Yes. Because I think he said that he had lost focus or almost lost focus about like what he originally wanted to talk about. Or why he was there.
Well, what it finally comes down to is he tells him, you need to go hide. You need to give us this vacant lot. We'll pay you for it eventually. Go hide somewhere. I believe they discuss even hiding in New England, right?
Yes. And then he was telling him, so it's about telling him how to do it, like on a certain side of the fence with a zip code. How to find him.
Well,
Going on vacation.
What finally turned the tide in this argument was when Calvin Tower came back with a very old envelope. And he tells him pretty much, what did he say? Once this envelope held the will of my great-great-great-grandfather, was dated March 19th, 1846. Now there's nothing but a single piece of paper with a name written on it. If you can tell me what the name is, I'll do as you ask. Eddie's answer is Deschain. The first name will be either Roland, the name of my den, or Stephen, the name of his father. This is when he finally kind of smartens up. They do have some more on and on about the bookshop and his doubts, and they pretty much set it up to where he keeps someone checking on the lot, and then they also go and hide. What is the final straw here that pisses Eddie off the most?
Doesn't he like almost back out of it?
Tower's books, his books.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to make the books a part of his deal. You need to protect my books. Which pisses Eddie off, but he does it right. He drags a whole bookshelf through the door.
Oh yeah, that one special glass book one that his most valuable books were in. Yes.
I just want to talk about what has happened, because I think there's a lot happening here that we're not digging into. How did Eddie know that Roland's name would be on that piece of paper, and is he saying that piece of land is actually willed to Roland? Is that what the math is supposed to be here on this?
I believe so.
I think so. Yes, and that's why.
I think he knows it, because what else is there? Like, what else could it be?
And why does the man in black, which we found out, why does he want it so bad?
Well,
it's just that Eddie was prepared to go and offer him $1 for it, and all along when Jake was going to give him $5 out of his backpack, that was the plan all along. It had never been discussed that
there was any other way for him to take ownership. That he was
that
going to have
he
to
even
convince
thought...
him, because he did even mention Holmes Dental as he's married to the lady who's inheriting the Holmes Dental fortune.
Yes.
That was even a part of it. Him saying, we're going to pay you a large sum of money for this. But then the guy comes back with that's nice, Sonny, but unless you can tell me the name that's written on this page, then you're not getting it. And I think at that point, it's it's obvious, with Ka being what Ka is, what name would be there.
Yes.
Yeah, and he did leave himself open to a couple choices, whether it was Stephen or Roland.
Right,
yes,
yeah.
Exactly. But even to the point where Tower saw the door, he did see the ripple in the ground and said, "Hey, can you take my shelf of books?" So I think there's more to these guys than what we know, And to me,
Wonder?
that was a huge revelation for him to guess that it was Roland's name on that, because that
Yeah.
means so much more
Something else is related
than-
there too, right?
than
Yes.
we've ever been exposed to.
Also,
Exactly.
you've got the implication there as well, where it's like, you know, like if this guy's great grandfather, like their last name is what, Dutch for tower, right? It was Torin.
Mhm.
It's like Dutch for tower, and like they are in whatever reality that they exist in, somehow protectors of this
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
particular patch of ground.
Kind of like great grandpa, like stories that were handed down, you know, and things
Yeah.
like that. That like, well, maybe one of you guys will eventually come across this particular situation, and if they can answer this, and this is who they're supposed to be, and blah blah blah, whatever. Like you know.
Well, we also haven't had.
But in
like, a-
Tower's case, it's a little bit subconscious, right? Like he doesn't really want to do much with this lot. Like he's holding out, but he doesn't really know why.
he knows it's valuable.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange too, because Eddie's whole plan was the idea that he was going to take on the lot. The bad guys were going to stop looking for it. This was going to screw the whole plan. Well, meanwhile, all you need is Roland to walk in and claim his rightful property based on what we think we've read.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, because the one situation in the book is kind of undone like 20 pages ago. So
In what way has it undone it?
it's undone it because the plan never even had to happen. Like he didn't have to talk about buying it. Like, and then you go, okay, so if Roland's name is on the paper, what is Roland not remembering either about this? I'm just kind of.
But it also
Twisted
depends on the
Brothers.
timeline as well. Do you know that different timelines, different realities and stuff exist? So
No, I've never even explored this thought. I just took it as, you know, this is of course what has to happen. You know, like his name is on there because who else would be on there? You know,
it
but
was
it's
a
like
while back.
this just means at some point, you know, back in 1846 or whatever, when the original will was in there, it was replaced. The will was removed, and then someone's name was put in there, and then like kept and passed down from like family to family to family, like with just this person's name on there. And like that does beg the question, like who wrote the name down? You know, at what point is there going to be a story where one of our heroes travels back in time and sets this up for us? Like,
I doubt it.
right, like, but like,
I think it was the man in black went through a doorway and convinced and set this whole thing in order.
you think he set it up to where he's pointing them at owning this lot? Like, is
Really
it,
think
is it his
so.
intention?
Isn't he
Like, he
trying-
wants them
is-
to?
Yes.
But the man in black told Callahan, "You may never meet these people." So it just seems like a lot of pieces to have come together that the man in black never even anticipated happening.
Yeah, because like he didn't even think. But then again, he also set that thing up with what's his name about like, I think like you just said, you know, they were standing behind like Roland and Jake when they had left and talking about them. So like just in case. I think the man in black has made up backup thingies just in case, because he thinks he knows everything, but he's still, there's like a little thing in the back of his head. But what
So he's
if?
he's kind of coming back behind himself and trying to like sweep up other messes that he's already created
Yeah.
or like hasn't created yet, maybe.
It's like a lie on a lie.
Yes, what I'm thinking. Exactly.
I just feel if we were watching a sitcom, that Roland's name on that piece of paper would have been this cliffhanger at the end of the season.
Yeah.
That we would have to wait till September 1st to find out why was Roland's name on that paper.
Wow.
I just think
Maybe.
it's heavier than just going, oh, that of course it was.
I think you're right. I think that in the future, like, there's definitely going to have to be something
And how does
that
that
like
tie?
pulls those threads together for sure.
Now, I was thinking when what's his name pulled this off, he had mentioned a little while back that maybe they don't need to buy the place, maybe they just need to promise to protect it. And I think that's where some of this idea came from too. Like he was still going to offer the money thing, but he knew as long as he offered like protection first, then he'd have a better chance of buying it instead of just trying to rush real quick, get the money, and somehow get it to work right up front.
Yeah, I think his
But,
intention was to go get possession in some way, shape, or form of this vacant lot via contract with Calvin Tower. right?
Yep.
Like
And
that's
not even knowing if Kelvin knew about anything else.
right.
But
just,
if you-
just diving right into it, like he thinks he has to have known something because, of course, he'd been there before and he had noticed that Balazar's gentleman had been there too, so he knew there was something else going on there.
But I don't think he would have known that had he not gone back the other time when I think they had gone toe dash. And
Right,
he
him and
had
Jake
seen
did
them there.
when they went to sleep.
And it was like something intuitive. He's like, hold on a minute, I want to go back and thing. But had he not known that, then he wouldn't have even done this whole thing with
But he also knows that
Kelvin
time is
knowing
moving in
what-
one direction,
Mhm.
right? And it's moving differently over there. So they also want to kind of have regular trips to keep an eye on the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the whole prospect of buying that piece of land is like the our world mode of thinking, but Roland's is more protection. I mean, there is still payment, but mostly it's protection.
Well, that's because when they visited there, like in their Todash state, and when they were like walking by as regular citizens of New York, like there's an overall overbearing feeling of goodness being around that area, and it's like created its own camouflage, right? Like it was like hidden, and it had like spilled paint around it, and it was kind of like hidden in
He's
plain
tearing it
sight,
up.
almost like in the wreckage of this vacant lot, and it's this like center of all the universes, just right there in the middle of New York.
I mean, that's where Eddie had the best sandwiches.
That's where people went and played tic-tac-toe.
Well, New England is a sleepy area.
Well, at this point in the story, though, like we have seen that there's other connotations that are being brought in. There's like a overwhelming kind of sense of like what's going to happen next, especially with the wolves. But then you have this other side where it's like, they're also trying to beat this deadline to retain ownership of the vacant
They're
lot.
trying to cover all their bases. It's a lot of shit going on at once. And somehow I feel like what they're doing there is going to be a big deal about what they're doing where they are now. I just don't know how it'll be connected. Somehow there's going to be a point that is like time lines up just right between the two places. And like something's,
If
I don't
Stephen
know
King
why.
allows us to have that moment.
That's where when the world moves on.
Yeah. It's like we used to watch movies and how they used to wrap up in a nice little bow, and then they don't anymore.
Might be the fall of the tower.
Watched a couple movies that wrapped up okay. They were the Stephen King ones. I
They used to
Made
be
a
Disney.
bad
Fall
choice
or
of trying to-
eradication of the tower.
made a bad choice trying to eat during 1922. Do not suggest.
Continuing on with the story here, Eddie and Calvin kind of wrap it up. They set up this exchange with the books. Trying to find, pulling it in there. They end up leaving the cave.
Doesn't one of the books like get Roland's attention? Is it the fact that he can't read it? Oh, never mind. He couldn't read it, but he said he recognized a couple words.
Recognize
on the
some
book.
symbols.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is where Eddie tells him that he doesn't really like him. He doesn't like him much,
Mhm.
making his lousy first editions part of his condition for helping to save the fucking universe.
I thought it sounded easy. It sounded like he rolled a cart over into the hole.
Yeah, it's like
the way they went.
it's like, yeah, okay, totally. Like I would do that. That sounds like a no-brainer.
Sounds easy enough.
Yeah.
I think he was just hoping that he wouldn't ask for anything in return for doing this thing.
I think Eddie's time being used on this was longer than he had allotted for. He has got a lot going on between the pregnancy and the wolves and everything else, and
Yes.
he thought Tower should have been a little more agreeable.
And that's what kind of Eddie's pissed off about is like we're gonna have to watch him. Like we're not
Yes.
gonna be able just to like say, okay, that part's done. We can consider that handled. Like now we have to watch this guy.
Well, he seemed flipped. Seems I guess I'll do it, but then like if something comes up to boot and gets the thing his way, he flip the other thing over for it.
This is also when Eddie brings up that he thinks Ben Slightman's dirty, and Roland just kind of like, yeah, right.
Yeah, that was another moment where you're like, "Geez, man, tell the kid. The kid is in agony because you're not helping him out."
But it's
He's like,
also
yeah.
like you'll notice
that-
that Jake notices the glasses. And they've mentioned the glasses multiple times in the narrative before as well, where it's like no one else in town has them. He's the only one who has glasses, and you're
And that's
kind
like
of
a
like,
little weird.
you
And
know,
they
like
work just
Roland
fine
knew
for
it, saw it right away, and filed it away, and didn't have any kind of like other thought. It's like that's different. You know, that's not normal. That's an obvious tell for whatever.
But he's also very much let us know that this is Jake's adventure.
Yeah.
These
Well,
are
he
Jake's
said somehow
trials.
Jake let him know. He said, it's been on Jake's mind, which I don't think Jake like. I don't know. Roland still seems to be pulling out the ha ha ha. I've got one up on you guys. You think you just figured me out? We'll fucking think again. And that kind of pisses me off.
Roland says Jake will do what he needs to do, so will we all. Eddie replies with, but he's still just a boy. Roland, don't you see that? And Roland says he won't be for much longer.
Oh,
Leads us into the Dogen Part 2, where we actually do join Jake and Benny Slightman.
Best friend in the whole wide world.
They're doing everything together. But Jake is on purposefully trying to wear him out.
this part made me laugh because I have a toddler, and that's all I could think of. It's like you get them outside, you
Yes.
just fucking
Just
run,
run 'em.
just keep running.
Well,
Laugh.
yeah.
I used to do that with my little brother. We had a house that like you can go around in a circle. I'm like, dude, on your bike, how many laps can you do? And you get up to like 20, and then take a nap.
Puppies are good for that too, you guys. Like if you need like, it's also good advice for puppies. Run them, take them outside, throw the ball, chase them, have fun with them, get the other dogs running, run them, and then they can't chew shit, they can't break shit, they can't get into shit because they're too tired.
Exactly.
All we had to do was feed him today.
The work
He's like-
Jake waits until late at night when he's pretty sure everyone's asleep. And actually, something I think is really cool is that Oi ends up waking him up. He almost sleeps past it, but Oi's
Yeah, because he told
Doesn't
Oi
really
Moon.
pulling out. Yeah,
He didn't, but he didn't know if he would understand or not. He was hoping, and then Oi goes, Moon, Moon.
yeah.
Just shut the fuck up. Okay,
Moon.
got it.
Mood. That's right. He ends up having Oi smell. I think it's a bandana.
Snot rag.
Yeah. Ben Slightman's dad's bandana, and then like
Kerchief.
uses him like a bloodhound. Says, "Find him," right?
Mm-hmm.
They end up making their way through the desert. They were actually following a path up through like around the hills, and they come across where's the actual description of it?
Is some cactus thing, or is it the other thing?
The cactuses are fun too. I think they call them boom flurry. It's like almost like a sentient guard cactus. Oh, I can't find like the two spiny barrels of the cactus tangle on his right, swiveling slowly and blindly toward him.
All I could think it was like those old cartoons that like somebody would pretend to be like in a barrel,
Yeah.
like and then like you just inch along a little bit whenever somebody wasn't looking.
Probably find the name when Andy and Slightning are talking.
Yes, you do.
Well, it says they come across like a steel hut building. I was trying to find like the actual like description of it, but it must be. Guess there was two dead rock cats too outside the hut as well. It says, "Welcome to the Dogan, North Central Panatronics Limited, Northeast Quarter Arc Quadrant, Outpost 16, medium security, verbal entry code required." Jake tries, of course. The first verbal entry code was 19,
19.
As it should be. Didn't work though, so he tried again with the same thing that Roland told him to say when he introduced himself to the town, 99, and that one got him in.
Okay, so that's where that came from. Because I was like, where the fuck did you get the 99 from?
He said, I think when they were introducing themselves at the big pavilion,
Quartet of 19.
and, you
Did
know,
Roland know about this
quartet
thing
of
then?
90 and 9.
We also saw 99 written on the wall for the Dixie Pig when they
Sure.
went back. I thought that was the very first,
But, like, did
but I
Maybe.
could be tripping.
I don't know. That seemed interesting. Okay. All right. I was wondering where the fuck that came from.
So either way, what happens is Jake finds himself into a little tech hut, pretty much. There's screens, there's bunks. It's almost like a military outpost style hut. There's I believe he says there's angles from cameras all over the Kala and other Kalas.
It was like on the porch. It was not on the porch. It was in a few of the buildings in
Yes.
the Kala and stuff too. Even the newer building, he even noted that. He said somebody must have put that one in there. Or it must be like super tiny or something because that was like a newer building. And this is supposed to be older technology. Sorry.
Well, no, definitely. It's his kind of tour gets cut short because a couple of people start walking up. He sees them on the monitors.
This part had me laughing so much. Because the shit that Andy says.
They end up hiding, waiting for them to come in. It is Andy and Ben, Slightman the Elder. It starts off with Slightman calling Andy a bag of bolts and wires, and Andy pinches the shit out of him.
Andy shows his other side.
Yeah,
This is like the one part I wouldn't mind if I don't know how long it is to read. I wish I had the physical book in front of me because this rant that Andy goes on was so fucking funny. He's like, I won't handle it from you, and it's like this whole rant that he fucking did. It was
well,
funny.
Slightman goes pretty much right out the bat and says, like, you know, stop fucking hurting me. You know, why would you do that? Aren't I doing everything you asked me to do? Aren't I like doing all the stuff that I can? Like, you know, aren't I risking my life to save my son? Like he's already pissed and he's already like miffed about like even having him to be there. Andy says, also you get the few little extras, your spectacles, the music machine you keep down in your saddlebag, and of course, and he doesn't really mention it, but I believe he's going to say, like, keeping your kid alive, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe that's like, you know, of course, keeping your kid alive. He says, you know what I'm doing and what would happen to me if I was found out? Either way, they have an argument, but they're here because Slightman is making a phone call. And Andy is present as well. Because I think Andy has to make the call, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think he has to make his own phone call afterwards.
Yeah, he says I gotta do my own check-in.
Yep.
There you go. Tells him to connect and report. Let's have done. 34 seconds of keyboard clatter. High warbling noise. Probably the sound of like a dial-up connecting.
Yeah, that's what they mentioned. Jake wouldn't know because he
It's a
never had
modem,
home
yeah.
internet. Yep, that's just the modem sound.
Then it says there's a shriek, a moment of silence, and then this is Algo Ciento, Finley Otigo here. Please give your password. You have 10 seconds. Saturday, Slightman said. Thank you, Algo Ciento acknowledges. We are online. Report Saturday. So just like right there, like they're talking to somebody else, a person, maybe a place. They're reporting as to what's happening. Slightman told of watching Roland and the younger one going up to the Cave of Voices. There was now some sort of door, very likely conjured by the Manny. He said he'd used the Farseer and gotten a very good look. Andy interrupts to tell him that it's called a telescope. I don't know why the robot would think that that's important, but it says they left the horses below and walked up, carried a pink sack, which they passed hand to hand as if it was heavy. May I offer 2 guesses? He says first, they may have been putting 2 or 3 of Pierre's most valuable books in safekeeping. If that's the case, a wolf should be sent to destroy them after the main mission's accomplished. Why? The voice replied. It was perfectly cold. As an example, do it please, yeah. As an example to the priest. The voice replies with, Callahan will very soon be beyond examples. What is your other guess? Slightman's next guess was that it may have been maps. I've thought long and long that a man who has books is apt to have maps. He may have given maps of the eastern region leading into Thunderclap. They haven't been shy about saying that's where they plan to head next. If it is maps they took up there, much good may it do them, even if they live. Next year, north will be east, and likely the year after, it'll swap places with south. I think that's the end of the report. See, he's pretty much like spying. That's what we're getting here. Slightman is spying, and he's telling them everything he's seen and everything he's guessing.
Hasn't he mentioned about where the children might go, or is that?
Yes, that's the next part. I'm just trying to see like.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what else he reported.
Well, just the cameras in the different places in the town that had surprised Jake too. That was a big revelation in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I bet there's one right over that Jesus poster.
That's where everybody put their cameras.
Has anything happened in 1963 in this book or in this series?
I don't know. Specifically, like off the top of my head.
Isn't that the JFK book?
That's 11/22.
63, isn't it?
And there's a door in that book.
There is a door in that book.
That's just what this messenger robot, that number is. 1963.
What does it mean? The numbers are floating.
Made me think of Ace Ventura.
Huh! He tells the voice that he thinks that Roland's going to be putting them in the Gloria, but then he thinks that maybe there's another one called the Redbird. He said he'll have the Sisters of Ariza standing guard. They ask how many. He says, I think 5. Plus the men with Boz. The important thing now is finding out where he and the boy and the younger man are going to be when the wolves come. He may tell at the meeting. If he don't, he may tell Eisenhower afterwards. They ask, or Overholzer. He says, no, Eisenhower will stand with them. Overholzer won't. He says, you must find out where they'll be. I'm pretty sure that's the end of their conversation. Also, this whole time, they're saying that when Andy's eyes are flashing, that it's supposed to be like a silent blue laughter.
Yes. Which all I can think of is like him being tricky or something stupid.
Yeah. So the end of this is pretty much Jake is witnessing Ben Slightman make a report to whoever it is that he's reporting to. And the things they're trying to find out is how many people are going to fight, where are they going to be at, and where are they hiding the kids.
And who's protecting the kids?
And you're happy as you're reading this because it seems that Roland's plan is still working okay.
Yes.
That everything that Roland had previously thought is happening.
Well, he already had an inkling, like, not to say anything to, like, anyone, not even, no one.
Well, he talked about how he was going to tell them, even though the plate throwing ladies at where he was putting the kids.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, are you actually doing it?
They're going to have to know. People are going to have to know.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like a super secret, but he has kind of used a few bits of misdirection because they're saying maybe this cave or maybe that cave, or they actually went up to the voice cave today, and I just don't see them putting kids in there, but maybe.
I think we've realized that the spies know a lot, the wolves know a lot, but they don't know everything, so the plan's not completely off the rails at this point. We're still feeling pretty
Like, I
good.
get that there is a plan, but there's still hope. But I still wonder if there's going to be, like, a last minute.
Jake makes his way back to his bed, either case. Pretty sad time for him. He's kind of falls into a thin and troubled sleep, which, when your best friend's dad's a douchebag, it's kind of hard to get a full 40,
Didn't we all think of that growing up, or what? But
Sure, yeah. They come together the very next day. The chapter's called The Pied Piper. They are having palaver.
And they talked about everything, which is not normal for
Yes.
how stories go.
Yes, there is a very, very open feeling to this conversation. I think this is one of those times where you see kind of some growth from a lot of them, but especially from Roland, like giving them, his full, almost full confidence. No problems with Susanna, but they listen to Jake's story. They hear Eddie's story. Everyone kind of gets caught up. There was a part where Father Callahan asks Eddie, "You didn't mean it about killing the wives and children, of course. That was just a bluff." Eddie looked up at the heavy sky, considering this with a faint smile. Then he looked back at Callahan. "Roland tells me that for a guy who doesn't want to be called father, you have taken some very fatherly stands just lately."
So he
It is
didn't say-
interesting that he called him on that. Like, why bother?
Yeah.
He's just pushing for a reason.
Yes.
Mhm.
He pretty much just says, "Let's just say that yes, I was bluffing and move on." But he definitely did make it a point to kind of get a little prickly about it.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, if you're questioning my methods.
He says, "Is this about being a Catholic? Because I got problems with that."
Yeah. Susanna says no signs of Mia. Everyone confirms. Roland says we need to speak of the wolves, them, and little else. Roland asks if Father Callahan will go back through the door.
She happily replies, "Of course."
Yes. They are setting it up to where they want him to have a conversation with Mr. Tower, Mr. Deep now. Jake tells him Mr. Deep No will listen. If anyone's going to convince Tower to do anything, it'll be Mr. Deep No. Um, Roland points out that they're going to make an assumption that only Ben Slightman and Andy are the ones working against them. They don't suspect anyone else, so they're going to use this opportunity to make sure they all understand.
I hope they
Um,
rat him out. I hope they fucking rat him out. 'Cause that pisses me off.
Well, Jake says, please don't kill him.
Oh,
That's
that
right.
is true. Yes, yes.
So
yes.
it kind of takes away some of the
Well, they don't have to kill him to rat him out.
the town would kill him at that point. They've lost a lot.
Well, he's trying to say that he doesn't have a choice because he's trying to save his kid, but Roland says his choice could have been to stand with us.
The thing is,
Roland
how has
says,
it gone
"We'll-"
on?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Mm.
How has this gone on for so many years? Like, because he's not old enough to have been there for all of the things. This is where my question comes in. That right now he's a traitor, but like, who was before him?
Who
I
do
think
you
Andy
think?
always
Yeah,
had somebody.
yeah.
Yeah, there's always been somebody.
But who do you think has been picking to somebody?
Well, I mean, obviously the Man in Black.
But the
right?
Pied Piper.
No.
Andy.
Oh, that's true. Andy, that is true.
Andy's the one who's really the traitor.
That's
Messenger robot. Many other
But, like,
functions.
he wasn't even lying about it though. That's what he does. He's a messenger robot.
Yeah, but many other functions, including espionage
Yes.
and pinching people's nerves. Also telling horoscopes. He actually enjoys that one.
Yes.
Hey, Dogen, I think we've heard that before and went through the keyhole. I think that's where the tiger was at the end.
That's correct. He was in a Dogen. That's where the last riddle with Merlin took place.
I remember thinking how cool that was when we were there. How I couldn't really talk about it.
I also thought it was very cool too because it's like, which came first at this point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Chicken or the egg.
As they're having this bit of palaver, they're talking about Benny's dad and pretty much what has to happen. But who shows up leading the twins in song? Literally, the Pied Piper. It's one of those like smile and wave moments, you know.
Yeah, and Eddie mentally thinking, yeah, fucking, yeah, you know that you're a bastard.
So how you
Fuck
doing, you cheap shit Radio Shack dickweed?
Well, it's almost like Andy knows what he's doing too, because Andy's parading the kids in front of him too, saying,
Exactly.
"I know something you don't know."
Exactly. See, he's having fun with it, but to him, it's just like it makes it more.
Fucking hate
painful
Andy.
for people. Well, he hates everyone in town.
Well,
He acts stupid for him.
many other functions.
You know?
They love him, said Callahan. There was a strange, sick expression of disgust on his face. Generations of children have loved Andy. That, Roland remarked, is about to change. Once Andy is gone, they're talking about setting up where certain people are going to be.
I just want to say that while Andy came through, she was rubbing her temple and having a real hard time handling the noise. We were
Yeah,
starting to
she-
see some changes in
Her
Susanna.
hand began to rise toward the tender spot. No, she told herself, don't feel that.
You
She
don't
made the hand
feel
go
that.
back down. Yes,
Those were the
Steve,
things
yes.
Roland said to watch for.
Yeah, I love how we just got done saying, "Hey, Suzanne, if you feel this, let us know." She's like, "Nope,
Hey,
nope."
it's fine. This is no problem.
This is not what we were talking about.
I'm wondering if she feels the pain in one body, but the other body, like Mia, is taking over. Like saying, nope, that's not it. Nope, we don't feel shit.
Maybe it's too late.
Yeah.
At this point, Susanna asked him, plain out, what's your plan? And Roland says there's precious little plan in it. Most times that's all to the good. The most important thing I can tell you is not to believe anything I say once we get up from here, dust off our bottoms, and rejoin the Falcon. Especially nothing I say when I stand up at the meeting with the feather in my hand. Most of it will be lies. My Da and Cuthbert's Da used to have a rule between them. First the smiles, then the lies, last comes gunfire. We're almost there, aren't we? Suzanne asked. Almost to the shooting. Roland says the shooting will happen so fast and be over so quick that you'll wonder what all the planning and palaver was for, when in the end it always comes down to the same 5 minutes worth of blood, pain, and stupidity. I always feel sick afterward, like I did when Bert and I went to see The Hanged Man. Jake asks him, will we win? Roland says, we know more than they think we know, far more. They've grown complacent. If Andy and Slightman are the only rats in the woodpile, and there aren't too many in the wolf pack, if we don't run out of plates and cartridges, then yes, Jake, son of Elmer, we will win. He asks him how many is too many. When he considers, he says, more than you'd believe, and I hope many more than they would. So Roland's still very much saying, like, we got this.
I like the fact that he finally told them, listen, don't believe me once we get up from here, instead of just leaving them like, what the fuck's going on? We thought you said something else. He finally confided, okay, I'm going to be bullshitting here for a little bit, so hang with me. The heads up that he should have been giving them from the beginning of like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess he needed the reactions. So.
Well, later that day, around lunchtime, they send Father Callahan through the door. He focuses on beef brisket with brown mustard splashed on top. From a place called Choo Choo Mama's, which is a pretty good name for a diner.
I've heard Choo Choo Mamas before. Oh wait, no, during Callaghan's.
Yes, definitely. But also, like, it kind of like for whatever reason, just like the choo choo part reminds me of a train.
Yes, which reminds me of Psycho Train. There.
Yeah, I thought it was always kind of cool how like that's like almost like a phonetic nod to
it's all in
the psychotic train we already had. Callahan shows up. June 24. He reads right away. Shows up to the bookstore, and guess what?
It's been burned.
Storefront is a burnt-out husk surrounded by yellow tape, reading "Police Investigation." He could smell charred lumber, burnt paper, and very faint the odor of gasoline. The people around him are saying, "Hey, you know that Calvin Tower guy was involved with some bad sorts. Of course, it got burned down."
No shit.
Father Callahan makes his way down to, I guess it's like the end of 42nd Street. I'm trying to see if there's any. Until he neared 46th Street. Then he began to hear the rose, and everything in his life changed. He runs into a guy who says, "It's nice here." You know, tells him like how he used to have like a really bad case of acne, but he kept coming to this place. It kept making him feel better, and then all of a sudden his acne's better.
But don't they like make it like ominous, where they're like, you really don't talk about it, like everyone knows, but nobody says anything, because if you say anything, then it like
Breaks the spell.
Yeah, it's like the hinting to it. It's like, you know it exists, but you don't want to ruin it, so like, don't acknowledge it. If that makes any sense. Almost gives that kind of vibe. Like it's fragile.
When he gets close to the lot, he does see a number written on the fence. It is what Eddie told Calvin Tower to do, which is write down the zip code of the town that he's planning on going to. 5 numbers written in black. He looks back to the cave, like the doorway behind him, through the cave and tells Roland he needs another 30 minutes. Roland's kind of checking out the books around him. Sherlock Holmes, Hound Study, The Sign of the Four. He's reading these titles of these books in this cave.
Oh, and Roland Razormike gives him 30 minutes because he thinks that, you know, he sees the library, I think, as Callaghan's going through it.
Yeah, he's trying to find where that zip code takes him, right?
Yes.
He's probably going to go get some road atlases or like a phone book or something and like figure out where that zip code is. But there's something that happens with Roland. He's looking through these books.
He recognizes something, I thought.
He said he began reading the book with the church in the front, or trying to. The words swam madly in front of his eyes, and he couldn't be sure. Not quite, but gods, if he was seeing what he thought he was seeing. Intuition told him this was a key, but to what door? He didn't know, couldn't read enough of the words to know, but the book in his hand seemed almost to thrum. Roland thought that perhaps this book was like the rose, but there were black roses too.
Yes.
This is where Callahan tells him that he found the town. It's called East Stoneham, 40 miles south of Portland. Roland's still hearing the voices. Let's see. The chimes. The Todash chimes.
Mm-hmm.
Roland is kind of wrestling with something right here, and this is kind of like going to be the end of our chapter. He's wrestling with like keeping another secret.
He found another one to keep.
Oh God, it's like, it's like he finally gives him something, and then he goes, never mind, I'm gonna keep this to myself. See how they do with this first before I say anything.
Let's not kid ourselves. He has more.
Yeah.
He's been alive a
Well,
very
There's your
long time.
cliffhanger, Steve.
Yeah.
There's the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Well,
What book was he looking at?
I think that he was looking at Salem's Lot. But maybe not. What if he was looking at The Dark Tower, Book 7?
They're going to Maine. Weren't they going to Maine? No, there's something else.
East Stoneham, yeah. That's Maine, 50 miles south of Portland, right? They did say send them to New England. So here we are. We're on the precipice, very, very close to the end. The two stories are clashing and colliding. We're having bleed over. We are still worried about Susanna. We are also still worried about the wolves themselves, and we also have this kind of showdown with this vacant lot looming. I'm really excited about the wolves. They mentioned some more descriptors. I think they even mentioned the gray horses again.
Yeah, they did.
So at this point, does anyone have any ideas on gray horses? I think it might be kind of obvious. I've caught it.
An illusion. I think there's an illusion involved.
I think there's an
It seems
illusion.
Like all gray horses, well, they're all the exact same. some sort of illusion. Like maybe
To make them all look the same.
yeah, maybe there's like projectors or something. There's only like maybe like a couple of the same things. They only need like a few real things, and then like there could be like either a hologram or a projector. As far we've seen the technology, there's cameras everywhere. What could stop them from projecting to make it all look the same, so that it's more sight-wise than there really is. If that makes any sense.
I like what you're saying with the technology. I think we're definitely seeing more tech behind the scenes,
Some tech
right?
stuff like for sure. Like there's a whole fucking basically
Channels.
like a science fucking Dogen.
Yes.
You know, there's like a big fucking outpost with like instruments and monitoring
Yes.
equipment and bunking and it's just, you know, like what's that from? You know,
Exactly.
they've come across way stations with atomic plugs or slugs, basically built to like last forever machines. You know, that's so old that it's like falling apart. And then you got like places like this Dogen where it's like it's old but everything works.
Yes.
And they're calling other people
Yeah,
somewhere.
they're using communication.
Mm-hmm. And technology, the way that like the robots and stuff work,
Hmm.
and everything. That's what I was thinking. Is that like it could be almost like an illusion because these people don't know like what this technology stuff does, and probably wouldn't be able to easily tell the difference between like real and fake and so on and so forth.
And they're not supposed to, because like they're the cattle, right? These kids are getting harvested every X amount of
25
years.
20, 25 years, I think so.
The interesting part is shit. I just lost my complete thought. When they look at each other and they say gray horses, and it's kind of like this inside joke where they kind of nod at each other, gray horses.
Yeah, because there's
Well-
been a couple of times Roland's gone.
Exactly. I'm on the outside going, I'm not getting the joke you guys are saying. You know, like
It's like
I'm still
You will.
waiting on the edge, going like, hey, where's the clue? Where's the clue? And like, even when they talk about Andy, they said somebody recently has been changing Andy's programming so that he can't talk about certain things. Well,
Yeah.
we don't necessarily know who those people are, but I guess whoever he's giving updates to, they've clued us into that.
Okay.
Like the way that Roland acts about it is the fact that like maybe it's like something from his old days or something, and it makes sense to him because he's seen it before.
I don't
We
think
got-
we can solve it in this amount of
Yeah.
book.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I
So
don't-
we need to do one big chunk, about 100 pages, or two smaller chunks.
I think we need to kill this one. 190 pages was our standard before, so
You want to finish the book?
Wrong adding some extra.
Slay it.
What is-
I'm ready.
That
I need
is
motivation
from
for this week.
601 to, including the afterward,
Word.
713, 710, something like that.
too little left, in my opinion, to let it go another week.
I don't want to have to like cut it into two because then you're like, what the fuck in the middle. Of
It's only like
then
it's
I'm
just
gonna
over
end up
100 pages.
finishing
So I say we can finish it. This is when all the action is going to happen anyway. So when we go over it, it'll be a lot easier to just do it.
And when we're back on track, like when I read 100 pages in a week, I can be more engaged with like remembering all this shit. Because I got to tell you, man. Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm excited to get back on the train.
The
The crazy train.
The next book is called The Song of Susanna.
Which I think will have a conclusion to her scratching her temple.
We will enjoy a wonderful Stephen King ending right here. And then we will continue our journey to the next book. I'm going to post the stuff in the chat for the audiobooks. Did we miss anything tonight? Anything in particular? Like there's
I do want a Tam Tam prediction of a Stephen King ending. Good, bad, neutral.
I'll go with good for this.
I feel like it's gonna piss us off.
Well,
So
I
like,
just know how some others end, or how they continue, or this is a good one.
this one is obviously going to continue. We know there's another 2 books. So like
Yeah.
like the idea that our story is about to stop is like no one expects that, right? Like everyone
No.
does know that it's going to continue
I still
to the
got-
next
Well, the
book.
way he wrote these.
I still got 2 books. Like,
Okay, yeah.
there's still-
But he is pretty notorious for some of his endings.
Yeah.
He slammed all 3 of these out back to back to back. So this is Act 1 we're getting through of the final chapter.
This is your A New Hope. The Empire is going to strike back, and then we're going to have the return of the Roland.
When you think about it, we don't have much left to actually solve the Dark Tower issue. When you look at what's left, we go, we have a long way to go in our minds.
Yeah, I mean it's always been distance, though, you know. It's a good time to say good night. I think
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.
we did
Good
good.
night.
We will continue. We will continue the conversation on the Discord. Of course, anyone who's not on there can always join there by going to Discord and saying, "Bring me to the coolest server ever," and ours will pop right up. It's that easy.
Not sure it'll auto direct.
It definitely will. So, thanks for being part of the stream, though, and we'll catch you guys later.